Hey there comic book fans, I'm John Anderson. I just watched episode 13 of Gotham and it was okay. They're clearly still setting up stuff for the rest of the season and it kind of flipped what I thought the rest of the season was going to look like, so I'll get into that, but keep in mind I'm going to be going through key plot points from the episode. So if you haven't seen it yet, here is your spoiler warning. And there it goes. So one of the big standouts of this episode is Bruce Wayne's back, who was inexplicably missing from the first episode, which I was kind of scratching my head about, like why is he not there? And they kind of write it off as like, oh, he was in Switzerland trying to get over that kidnapping that he was involved in. And I was like, yeah, that's a reason, but I wasn't really satisfied with it. Regardless, I'm happy that he's back because the show is called Gotham. You kind of need Bruce Wayne in there. And it's nice to see that they're introducing this idea that Bruce Wayne has a different persona, which will eventually become Batman. And that'll be interesting to see because Alfred brings up that GCPD has been working on who they think killed his parents, and they think it's this guy Patrick Matches Malone, who is kind of this mob enforcer who's clearly like an arson and not really a big time character in the comics, similar to Joe Chill, who was kind of just a run-the-mill mob guy. And I think that's kind of the charm of the Bruce Wayne murder, is that it was just some normal guy that had a bad day. And I feel like Matches isn't going to be the actual killer. This is going to be kind of like a lesson for Bruce, as we see he's going kind of crazy and wants to kill him regardless of his reasoning and just wants to kill them. Similar to the Bruce Wayne that we saw in the beginning of Batman Begins. And I like that character, so it's nice to see that he's going all out. But Alfred and even Cat is telling him like, listen, if you kill this man, that's going to change you, so have somebody else do it. But I think he really wants that change to happen. And I think he thinks that if he kills him, he'll turn into this Batman persona fully. So the main plot of this episode is clearly Victor Fries trying to save Nora that the GCP has. And they're going to take her to Arkham because they figure that's the best way to kind of counter Freeze and capture him. But Hugo Strange has his own agenda, wanting some of the chemicals that Fries has been developing. So he assists Victor in getting Nora to escape. And during this episode, Lee and Nora have a lot of interactions together. And we see a lot of parallels between Victor and Jim. Victor will do anything to save his wife because he loves her. And Jim wants to be a man of the law, but sometimes when the law doesn't seem to be doing the right thing, he'll take it into his own hands. And Lee kind of brings that up to him and is like, what's this idea of what is work, what is your agenda, because at the end of the day you'll do what you want. And she kind of knows that there's more to Gallivan's murder than he let on to her. Nora kind of switches the chemicals on Victor and supposedly kills herself and causes Victor to do the same. But as I mentioned, Hugo Strange kind of has his own agenda and turns Victor into the Mr. Freeze character that we know from the comics. And that's where the flip kind of came in, because originally in my last video, I thought Mr. Freeze was going to be the main arching villain and Hugo Strange was going to be a secondary character. But it seems they flipped it and Hugo Strange is the main villain and they're turning Victor into kind of like a henchman. And I don't really like that because I feel like Victor as a character is so compelling, especially when he has Nora, which they kind of messed that up if she's truly dead, which I'm hoping she's not, because that's like his drive. That's what makes Freeze a compelling villain. So if you take away his motivation, he is going to be just a henchman for Hugo Strange and his Freeze army, which looks like he's trying to create. And I hope they don't do that and he kind of works on a way to kind of freeze her and try to revive her, because again, that's what makes his character so interesting. So that's my thoughts on episode 13. If you guys like this video, be sure to share and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook at John Ryan Anderson or on Instagram and Twitter at The Comic Look. And remember guys, as always, comics do deserve a second look.